Hey everyone, welcome back to Steve's View. Today we're tackling a really interesting question that's been floating around Washington and in the media. Is Marco Rubio the most powerful Secretary of State in American history? Now, that's a huge claim. We're talking about a title that has belonged to giants like Henry Kissinger, George Marshall, Dean Acheson, James Baker, people who literally shaped the world order. But Rubio today finds himself in a very unique position. He's not just Secretary of State. He's also serving as the acting National Security Advisor, the acting Administrator of USAID, and the acting Archivist of the United States at the same time. And that's why some people are starting to call him one of the most powerful foreign policy figures we've ever seen. So in this episode, we'll break it down. We'll look at the positions Rubio holds, his political background, his rise inside the Trump administration, his worldview and major accomplishments. Then, we'll compare him to past secretaries of state, weigh his influence, and finally try to answer that big question. Let's start with the obvious. Marco Rubio isn't just Secretary of State. He's also serving as National Security Advisor. That alone is historic. Since Henry Kissinger in the 1970s, nobody has held both jobs at the same time. The Secretary of State is supposed to be America's top diplomat, the person meeting foreign leaders and hammering out deals. The National Security Advisor, on the other hand, is usually the president's right-hand strategist, coordinating policy across the Pentagon, intelligence agencies, and state. Combining the two makes Rubio the single most important voice on foreign affairs inside the Trump White House. But it doesn't stop there. Rubio has also stepped in to oversee the National Archives at one point, and even temporarily took control of the U.S. Agency for International Development before it was folded into the State Department. Vice President J.D. Vance even joked that Rubio is doing four people's jobs at once. The bottom line, power that is normally spread across multiple cabinet members is now concentrated in Rubio's hands. So who is Marco Rubio, and how did he get here? Rubio is the son of Cuban immigrants, born and raised in Florida. His family fled communism, and that shaped his entire worldview: deep suspicion of authoritarian regimes, strong opposition to socialism, and an instinctive belief in American leadership abroad. He first rose to national prominence as a U.S. Senator from Florida, and he quickly built a reputation as a foreign policy hawk. He was one of the earliest, loudest voices supporting Ukraine after Russia's invasion in 2022. He consistently criticized the Chinese Communist Party for its human rights abuses, which earned him sanctions from Beijing. He also pushed for a tough line on Venezuela, Cuba, and Iran. In short, he carved out a brand as a national security hawk long before he entered the Trump administration. Politically, Rubio's road hasn't been smooth. Remember the 2016 Republican primary? He clashed directly with Trump, calling him a con man, only to be mocked as Little Marco by Trump on the debate stage. Many thought that was the end of his national ambitions. But politics has a funny way of making old rivals into new allies. By 2024, Rubio had backed Trump early, proving his loyalty to the GOP base. That move paid off when Trump returned to the White House and tapped him for the top diplomatic job. Let's talk about what Rubio has actually done in power. The list is long, but a few highlights stand out. First, Ukraine. For a while, it looked like Trump was going to pull back U.S. support. But behind the scenes, Rubio was the one urging a tougher line, and eventually the White House reversed course, approving billions in new military aid. According to CNN's reporting, Rubio personally delivered Trump's frustration to Russia's foreign minister, then joined a secure call with NATO leaders to strategize next steps. That's direct, hands-on diplomacy at the very top. Second, Iran. Rubio was deeply involved in planning and executing the recent precision strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. White House officials said he was central in coordinating intelligence, military planning, and the diplomatic messaging afterward. Third, Venezuela. Rubio leveraged his Latin American ties. Remember, as a Florida senator, he had deep networks in the region to pull off a major prisoner exchange that brought 10 Americans home in return for deported Venezuelans. That's the kind of quiet, behind-the-scenes win that doesn't always make headlines, but it demonstrates influence. And fourth, the structural reforms. Rubio has overseen the downsizing of the National Security Council and the streamlining of the State Department. That's controversial. Critics say it sidelines career diplomats, but it does make the White House decision-making process faster and more centralized, exactly how Trump prefers it. Another reason Rubio is so powerful right now is his relationship with Trump. By all accounts, the president trusts him more than almost anyone else. Trump has even said publicly, "Whenever I'm in trouble, I call Rubio. He always gets it done." Their bond isn't just about policy, it's personal. Both men share a love of UFC fights, and they've been spotted together ringside, joking around. Rubio is also known as a family man, someone who keeps his private life low-key, which resonates with Trump's own views about traditional family roles. These personal touches matter in a White House where loyalty and chemistry often count more than resumes. Of course, with great power comes great controversy. Rubio has overseen sweeping layoffs inside the State Department, cutting thousands of career diplomats. Supporters say he's modernizing and making the system more efficient. Critics say he's hollowing out America's diplomatic corps and leaving policy to a small circle of Trump loyalists. There are also concerns about overload. By concentrating so much power in one man's hands, the system risks bottlenecks or mistakes. Already there have been hiccups, like when military aid to Ukraine had to be withdrawn because Trump hadn't personally signed off. That kind of miscommunication is exactly what the National Security Advisor role is supposed to prevent. So is Rubio the most powerful Secretary of State ever? To answer that, we need to look at history. Take Henry Kissinger. He not only shaped détente with the Soviet Union and opened relations with China, but he fundamentally redefined America's global role in the Cold War. His influence lasted decades. George Marshall, after World War II, launched the Marshall Plan, rebuilding Europe and cementing U.S. leadership in the West. His work literally laid the foundation for NATO and the post-war order. Dean Acheson helped design the Truman Doctrine, NATO, and the architecture of containment. James Baker managed the end of the Cold War, the Gulf War coalition, and reunification of Germany. These men didn't just serve powerful presidents. They helped build the world we still live in today. Their legacies are measured in generations. Rubio today certainly matches them in terms of concentrated power. Few secretaries of state have held as many titles simultaneously or enjoyed as much direct trust from the president. But does that automatically make him the most powerful ever? Not quite. Power isn't just about access or titles. It's about the ability to reshape the international order in lasting ways. So here's where we land. Marco Rubio right now is arguably the most powerful Secretary of State of the modern era in terms of concentration of power. He's Secretary of State, National Security Advisor, and more, roles that give him unparalleled influence over both policy design and execution. He has Trump's ear like no one else, but to truly earn the title of most powerful in history, Rubio would have to prove that his influence goes beyond the moment, that he can reshape America's place in the world for decades to come, the way Marshall, Acheson, Baker, or Kissinger did. That's something only time will tell. So, is Rubio the most powerful Secretary of State in American history? Maybe not yet, but he's definitely one of the most powerful we've ever seen, and if he continues on this trajectory, history might very well put his name in that same league. What do you think? Does Rubio's current role make him America's most powerful top diplomat ever? Or does he still have a long way to go before he's in the same category as Kissinger and Marshall? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you see this. And if you found this breakdown useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future deep dives like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.